Happy to sponsor today's Brand Innovators event. While I wish I was in Austin, I'm even happier that I get to moderate Cynthia today from Walmart. But before we started, I wanted to share a little bit about Ampersand, and then we'll dive in. We're a data-driven TV advertising, sales, and technology company. We enable advertisers to reach audiences across all screens, across the largest portfolio of publishers, including major programmers and streaming platforms. Our mission is to simplify and enhance advertisers' TV investment, powered by rich viewership TV insights for planning and measurement at scale. My role at the company is leading our client partnerships practice, designed to build deeper relationships with clients like Walmart. So today, we're really excited to host Cynthia. Cynthia is the VP of Marketing at Walmart, leading the vision, strategy, and performance for mobile, online pickup, and delivery. Previously, Cynthia served in other marketing roles in the fashion industry at Bonobos and Gilt. So Cynthia, that is a lot of responsibility. So maybe before we dive in, would you mind sharing with everybody kind of what your role is and your purview at the company?
Yeah, sure. There are three teams that I lead. You mentioned two. There's a third one, which is the membership team that we launched in September. So we have a new membership. It's called Walmart Plus, and I hope you've all heard about it. It's anchored in our online grocery delivery service, but there's other benefits already in place, and there's other benefits coming. And that is a pretty new team that I'm building, and a strategy that is nascent for the company. Then I lead the mobile app team, the marketing piece of mobile apps, which includes product marketing and growth. And the last one is the online grocery team. We have we just opened our 3,000th store that serves online pickup and delivery from a grocery perspective. We have the biggest reach nationally, and my team is in charge of driving adoption of the service and repeat purchase. Those are the three teams.
Wow, so that sounds like a lot. So I'm guessing it's not just you doing all of this. So can you share a little bit about the structure of your team and how your team
Yes.
set up? Yeah.
Why do you say that? I do it all. Yeah, so the three teams are actually pretty different if you think about the stage at which they are and the type of skill sets that I was looking for. The online grocery team is more of an established team because we already launched most of the stores. We have 3,000 already open. The service is up and running. There is innovation still happening in the space, of course, but it's more about maintaining that business, less about the fast growth that we were coming from. It's still growing fast, but not at the same pace. And we don't have to build big awareness campaigns. We did a lot of that in the previous years, and now it's more about incorporating our messaging in the larger marketing that Walmart does. And in that case, there is a team of performance and a team of brand marketers that are defining how are we going to talk about this service in a way that is compelling. Like as an example, we didn't used to talk about contactless delivery, right? And now it's something that we have to include in our marketing. So that's what the brand marketers in that team focus on. And the performance marketing, it's really about driving acquisition and repeat. So the acquisition piece, if you think about the competition on that space, even though we are the largest and more established online grocery in the country, there's a lot of nascent companies and not so new that are entering that space. And it's really war between all of us because everybody wants to acquire, like who hasn't gotten $50 off your $50 spend voucher, right? So it's really competitive, and we are trying to make the best use of our marketing dollars. So in that case, performance marketing, really watching closely how we're spending every dollar. Then the mobile team, it's a team that requires experts in mobile marketing, which it's not the same as experts in traditional digital marketing. There's specific skill sets that we look for. How do you come up at the top of the results in the app stores, right? Things like that. And then the most interesting and newer to me element to this role is a product marketing piece, because we work together with our product and engineering partners to define what is going to be the user experience in the app. Where can we incorporate marketing touch points? How do we talk to them? How do we get them to opt in for push notifications and then engage with those notifications in the future? So it's a team that has both product marketing and mobile growth skill sets. And the last one, the membership, Walmart Plus, I organized it in a very traditional subscription type of marketing team, which is you have a team in charge of awareness, a team in charge of acquisition, and a team in charge of retention. The awareness team is really trying to understand how can we get people to be interested in this, explaining the value proposition. This team also works with our benefits team, coming up with what's the next benefit that we're going to launch for our members. What are the members interested in? The acquisition team is growth hackers that are trying to get the best quality and the highest number of potential members at the lowest possible cost. And then when somebody already started their free trial and they converted into a paid trial, we almost like pass them to the retention and utilization team. And that's the team in charge of driving the behavior that we hope to drive with this membership, making sure that our members are making the most out of their membership. So pretty different teams on each one of the
Wow,
areas.
yeah. So, and you said that one of your passions is building teams. So like, I guess first, like how many people is that? And talk a little bit about kind of your secret sauce in building teams and getting the most productivity out of your teams.
Well, I've built teams since I was since I've been joining digital companies, D2C companies in Guild, in Bonobos, and now at Walmart. I've built different sizes of teams. And I don't think it's a lot about the size, because in Walmart, for example, we have a lot of shared resources. So the teams are small, but we get a lot of support. While at Guild and at Bonobos, there was less shared resources. I've developed a methodology that has worked for me on how to build teams in these type of environments, which are startups. Even within Walmart, the 3 teams that I talked to you about, these are the startups within Walmart. So the first thing that I learned is you write a really good job description, and then you become really flexible with that job description. Because what I'm looking for in most cases is athletes, because what I know today may not be what's going to be the reality next year. An example is online pickup and delivery. We had a set of skill sets last year that are not entirely relevant to our strategy for this year. And if we had a team that was very rigid and were experts in one type of marketing, they would have a really hard time transitioning to what the role requires from them. So write very, very tight job descriptions and then throw them through the window and hire athletes that can do that, but that can also evolve with you. Then I mean, I don't know if this is too basic to say, but just in case people don't do it, make sure that you ask the same questions to all the candidates. Be very thoughtful on the questions that you're asking for, to understand functional skills, but also to understand the cultural fit with the company. I have learned also to ask more examples from the past instead of hypotheticals. I don't ask them anymore, what would you do if? More like, what did you do last time that you encountered this? Because you get a little bit of a better answer that you can trust. And then once you make a decision on who to hire, also don't rush to hire. I've hired too fast because I felt like I needed to fill that role. And at the end of the day, if it's not the right person, having the wrong person in the role, it's a lot more costly than waiting a few months until you find the right person. So don't rush to hire. Once you have the person, be very intentional with onboarding. I throw them to the role immediately. I wish I could say I give them 2-3 months to onboard until they feel like they understand what they're supposed to do. We don't have that luxury. And I also don't think it's a lot of fun to get into a job and be looking for things to do on the first weeks. So I just throw them immediately to feel like they can start adding value very quickly. Mm-hmm. I do a 1-month check-in where I ask for feedback on them on the first month. And I know that that's a little bit controversial, because how much can you prove in the first month? But what I'm looking for in that case is, are there things that they're doing that will damage their image with their peers quickly? Because I do think that first impressions matter. And if I can help them with things like, hey, people are saying that you don't answer communication quickly enough, or that you're not involved in things as deeply as they expect, like things that I can, that I know that if I don't tell that person immediately, it's going to be hard for them to change the reputation that they have, because reputations are built very fast. So I give them feedback a month into the role. And the last thing that I do is I give them 3 months to feel like they know how to succeed in the role. Because I think that people have, and that's why we always do the 90-day, what's your 90-day plan, right? I think you need about 90 days to understand what your role is, who do you have to engage with to succeed, what success looks like.
Yeah.
Don't try to figure out any of that in the first month, but also if by 3 months you're like, I still don't know how to succeed here, then you have to have a serious conversation about, is this the right role for you? Did we make a good hire? Like, what do we do about that? So I put a lot of emphasis on the first 3 months.
It's so interesting because, while I'm not in the retail business, we go through the same thing, right? We're in the TV business, and that's
Yeah.
the same challenges, the merging of the digital, evolving to digital, also creating an industry. We call it, I like the term athletes, we call it unicorns because, trying to find, but the
Yeah.
athlete, that I had a mentor and boss out of college, and all he did was hire athletes. That was actually a requirement on the resume, that they had to play sports. It's not because of them being a team player. I know the idea that they can kind of move into different roles, but is the athlete description that you use because of the requirement to be a team player? Or?
So it was both. It was about being a team player, but also about having some kind of methodology to learn new things. So things that I ask is, tell me about a project that you had to lead and you didn't have the skill sets to lead it. How did you learn that skill set?
Yeah.
Because we can't teach everybody. So people have to have that.
We don't know
Yeah.
what they need to know, right? All the time.
Exactly.
It's a new world. Awesome. Well, very cool. So, as during this time, what we're a year in now to the pandemic, with the light at the end of the tunnel. And so how has that changed how you manage your team? I mean, obviously you believe in coaching, which I'm a huge fan of, direct feedback and on a regular basis. But how does that work in a virtual world? Like, any tricks for that, and any challenges that you've faced through this?
So Walmart was already a culture that was comfortable with working remotely, because we have 3 big offices: Bentonville, San Francisco, and Hoboken. So we were already comfortable with Zoom calls, but we also were able to meet in person from time to time. So I would travel to Bentonville once a month, or to San Francisco. And that has been the biggest challenge. I think Walmart, and I don't think there's a company that doesn't require building relationships to get things done.
Yeah.
And that has been the hardest part. How do you build relationships with people that you've never met in person? My Walmart Plus team, half of them, I've never met them in person. They haven't met anyone in person. Most of the people I'm working with in that larger membership team, I've never met in person. So I've been more intentional about spending time not talking about work. I don't do it outside of the meetings, because I think it's too much to ask. We're already in Zooms all day. So at some point I thought, should I schedule a coffee for 30 minutes? But then I thought, who has time to spend 30 minutes with me in a coffee? I don't want to demand that from them. So I start my meetings always with 5 minutes of informal conversation. It's not like I've told them I'm gonna do this. It just comes pretty naturally. I ask them questions. We also start the week with Slack. In my Slack channel, we say what we did over the weekend. We share a picture of what we did over the weekend, which I ended up learning a few weeks ago. I read this research piece about how these type of traditions within a team make the team really bond. And I have noticed that my team knows each other in a way that I'm surprised. I mean, they've never met in person, and they can talk about their kids. And it is because we have that Monday Slack thread of what we did, and showing pictures and commenting on it. So that those have been a couple of things that I've done. I do more what I call the Barometer Session, which is a session with my team in which we all talk about how we're feeling. And it's how we're feeling in terms of, are we adding value to the company? Are we adding value to our customers? How is our life, work-life balance? And if we are inspired. And along those four things, we all talk really openly about, I mean, I'm drowning, I have too much work. And together as a team, we try to solve it. So giving my team forums to express themselves and to know that they're being heard, I think has been useful, but we're all figuring it out.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Well, now that we look, the light at the end of the tunnel, what's the plan for Walmart? I mean, obviously you're an essential service, so it sounds like you've been able to be in person a little bit. But when, are you guiding and when you'll go back into the office and what, because I believe that in order to compete now, you've got to be a flexible employer to allow for the work from home. A lot of people have moved to different places and stuff. So what's the plan for when you guys, when we come out of this a little bit more?
I don't think it has been communicated, and I don't know if it's going to be the same plan for every part of the company. I do think that Walmart, because we have physical locations, there is like, we have stores, right? So being present and being able to go to stores and engage with our customers and engage with our associates in the stores is always going to be important. Are we going to have to go to the office every day? Are we going to have to be in one of the three big locations? It's not going to come, the decision is not going to be mine.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
I get it. Yeah, we're actually, our CEO just let us know that we're going to go back in after the goal is after Labor Day, and 3 days in the office and 2 days remote, and we'll see how that goes, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's what I've heard from a lot of companies.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about more on the product side. So, I find it interesting that while you have a lot of a lot of responsibility with different focuses, right, with the performance marketing, the membership, and the drive up, and the app, uh, the customer's at the center of all of that, right? So I'm assuming that the customer experience is something that you own, and you've got to rely on a lot of technology and engineering and product people at the company to make that happen. Can you talk a little bit about how you get a seat at the table with the engineers and how you kind of influence what you need to get done?
Of course. So marketing doesn't own the customer experience in any retail organization that I worked at, and not at Walmart. But we are more and more getting a seat at the table because we are the voice of the customer. The way that we see ourselves is we communicate the value proposition to the customer, and we communicate what the customer needs to the internal teams. So we are the layer between engineers and product and our customers. Walmart wasn't a company that had product marketing as a function, and it's still a nascent function for us. We don't impact everywhere. We don't have product marketing everywhere. But if you think about Google or Facebook or Uber, those are companies that have product marketing at a very evolved stage. They have sophisticated product marketing engines. So what we are doing is we are learning from them on how can we work together with product and engineering in a way that it doesn't feel like we are taking away anything from them, because of course the engineers and the product teams have been developing features and services for customers for many years without marketing as part of the strategic development. Marketing gets brought in at the end. They tell you, they would come and say, okay, here is a feature in the app. Here is there's these store maps. This is like an actual example. We have, if you go to one of our stores, you can take your mobile app, you can open it, and you can type in a product, and it's going to guide you through the store to tell you exactly where to find it. That's not something that marketing was part of the development, and it was given to us as, can you market it? And it's not the same when they bring it to you fully baked, that when you have a seat at the table, can even name it, can provide customer insights on who are the customers that will use it, when, in which type of shopping trips. So for us, it has been a journey of slowly proving the value that marketing can bring, and what does it look like when marketing has or doesn't have a seat at the table. And ultimately, it was the product and engineering partners that came to marketing to say, you know what, we need you to be part of this process because we think that we're going to have better outcomes. It's always better if your partners are asking for your support than if you're trying to like elbow yourself in. And that's what has happened at Walmart. We have proven our value enough that they have asked us to develop this function on their marketing. So we're helping them with that.
Yeah, engineers have a lot of kind of leadership at engineering driven companies. I've worked for a few, and I know it's a careful balance, and also I think it's challenging too, because product marketing and the definition of it means something different at different organizations and by different people.
Yes.
Right? So defining that is important. The membership piece of what you do, that you said that's fairly new, right?
Yes.
The membership. I'm assuming that it's part of having a more kind of following the customer journey a little more, right? Like creating a relationship that's longer term. Can you talk a little bit about that? I come from a subscription business.
Yes.
So subscription TV business. So I understand the value of having subscribers, but if you could talk a little bit about that, I think that'd be interesting.
Of course. So the way that we designed our membership was with first the customer in mind, and then our own company and our partners, because we have a big ad business with Walmart Connect. The customers, what they want is they want the zero cognitive load for when they're shopping. They don't want any friction. They want it to be as easy as possible. And there's different shopping journeys. Of course, it's not the same for if you're buying your groceries for every week than if you're buying something that you're going to buy once, like fashion. But the only way that a company can really remove that friction is if we know you well. And the only way we can know you well is if we can map all of the touch points that you have with us. And because we are a one-stop shop, we sell everything, and we are omni-channel, we are able to actually capture all of that. Most of our competitors can only capture a sliver of that. Like somebody that only sells pets will only know what pet you have, but they won't know what shampoo you like for yourself, or what fashion you like, or how often you buy groceries. Because we have so many businesses that I didn't know before joining Walmart, that we had a big pharmacy business, we have a big auto care center, we can make paint to the specifications you want. Like there's a lot of businesses within Walmart that people may not know about. If we have all the data on your interactions online and offline with us, we can serve you better. So that's one. And of course, we're developing the services that make their life easier and better, always on the foundation of our everyday low prices. You don't have to pay more to get all of these services. Then for the company, this is also good because, as you said, from a subscription business, recurring revenue is always positive to the bottom line. And people that have opted in that have paid you to be in a relationship with you are more likely to move the share of wallet to your business. And then the third one is our partners. Our partners are super excited about Walmart Plus because of that rich data that we have and the access that we can provide to our best customers. So there were three pillars when we were starting to develop it, and that's what we have in mind. How do we add more value to our customers, bring more value to the company, and provide better access to our partners?
So I'm super, and I know the one of those pillars, the one about bringing more value to your partners, isn't really in your purview exactly, but can you talk a little bit about that? Because there's been a lot in the press about Walmart and other retailers for that matter, building their own kind of data and media businesses. So would you mind talking a little bit about at least what you're comfortable with?
Yes, of course. So we have a lot of traffic, we have a lot of eyeballs, we know a lot about what our customers need, and that data and that understanding is something that our partners can leverage.
Mhm.
So we develop touch points in our journey that give access to those partners. I don't think it's very different than, like, the purpose is not different than the purpose that we had when it was only retail, like physical retail, right? There was trade marketing, and our partners would
Apps, right?
rent
Like
a shelf.
apps, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is just a lot more targeted, because with the data, we can avoid showing your product to somebody that is not interested in the category, or that is very loyal to your competitor, and you're going to have a really hard time switching, and just focus your investment where it's going to give you the more
Value.
results. Yeah, the more value.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, how about media? So, under marketing, I know you have a heavy skew to the product marketing side, but with the changing landscape, and this is kind of the viewpoint that we're coming from at Ampersand, right?
Yeah.
We're in the heart of this whole changing landscape, and the viewer fragmentation. It's harder to find people, right? Because people are viewing on different screens. How has Walmart evolved their media strategy? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, the foundation is the same. We use customer insights to understand what a day in a life looks like, and try to find the moments in which we can build awareness, or we can build more consideration, or when somebody could be ready for, like, to transact. So the fragmentation hasn't necessarily negatively impacted us. It has actually given us a lot more, like, the ability to target.
Mhm.
So of course we still do big TV advertising, but we have moved some of the budget to online video. We have leveraged the formats of online video that allow you to test creative. We do the one that you can skip, so we can know which creative is working. We track clicks. I mean, it's not nothing super sophisticated what I'm saying, but we track how people are reacting to our advertising, and optimize toward that. We learn so much faster than when what we used to do before. I can tell you that we have a campaign that launched yesterday, and the learnings from that campaign are going to inform the assets that we will be launching in 2 months, right? Because we can very quickly turn, like, if we know that when we talk about value, people react better than when we talk about assortment, then we're going to focus on value. And this is a very big generalization, because, as you know, some people will react to value and some people will react to assortment. And that fragmentation allows us to really say, okay, people that look like this are going to react better to value. So let's put value in front of them. People that look like this are going to react better to assortment. So it allows us to be much more surgical, using dynamic content optimization to really put the right message in the right context in front of the right audience. So for us, fragmentation has been like an opportunity, an area of opportunity.
Well, our goal at Ampersand is to do that on TV as well, right? So that's a big focus, not just digital, give marketers an opportunity to do that on the big screen as well,
Yeah.
and multi-screen. The assortment, is that the portfolio of offerings that you have at Walmart?
Yeah.
Okay, to expand probably basket size and that sort of thing.
And we call it a share and depth and breadth of wallet. And when you
Oh,
talk about share of wallet, you can sell more to somebody by selling them more of the same. I can sell you more food,
yeah.
or I can sell you food and fashion and office, and get you to service your car with us. And really, the deep relationship with a retailer comes when you shop multiple categories, instead of just seeing a retailer as like a place where you can buy one type of things.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, you talked a lot about the insights that you have. Can you and the clearly Walmart invests in brand awareness, advertising, and then you talked about the performance team that you have. And I'm assuming the balance between those two tactics are super important. Can you talk a little bit about any measurement tools or
Yeah.
where you're getting your insights from. I know it's from your own data, but how you're mining that data, anything about
Yeah.
tools would be good.
I mean, we have some proprietary models, but we also use third party. I think also it's important to come to terms with the fact that not everything can be measured in a ROAS perspective or in a CAC perspective. If we have an upper funnel campaign that is meant to drive awareness, the primary KPI should be awareness. We shouldn't be trying to measure it against an SEM ad because it's always going to lose, right? So we start with that understanding that the purpose of a channel is either to drive awareness or to drive consideration or to drive, in the case of Walmart Plus, drive trial. We use, in upper funnel, we use your typical surveys to understand awareness and consideration, brand recall. In more middle and low funnel, we use both MTA and LTA, depending. I mean, we have LTA much faster, last touch attribution, we get it immediately. MTA, it takes us longer, also because the time it takes for somebody to consider joining Walmart Plus, it's much longer than the time it takes to buy like a roll of toilet paper. So we can't really have MTA readily available. So we do optimizations on LTA on a weekly basis, sometimes more often than a weekly basis, and we do MTA on a monthly basis. And there is also models inside the company for media mix modeling to decide how much do we put on TV, how much do we put in radio, how much do we put in lower funnel, that are so sophisticated that if I try to explain them to you, you would realize that I don't fully understand them.
I don't know if our audience wants to hear all that either.
Okay.
Very cool. And any partners that are good in that space that you're comfortable sharing? Any vendors?
I don't work with vendors in that space because we do it all through our analytics team. I know they work with partners, but if I tell you the names, I don't know which ones are good and which ones are not.
Got it. That makes sense. That's fair. The one thing though that you did say that I think is really a challenge for a lot of marketers today, which is this, when and I think, everything with digital kind of brought this on, the ability, it's addictive, right? The ability to measure sales to anything you do from a marketing standpoint is possible today. You can measure TV and sales, right? But the question that you pose, is it really the right KPI or business outcome to measure depending upon the tactic and what you're trying to do? I think people sometimes forget about the creative in the middle of that, right? It's like, wait, if the creative is designed for awareness, should you really be measuring against sales? So any further advice for marketers on that?
Sure. I mean, I think you can do much better storytelling in certain channels. Like video is great for storytelling, but you may not be able to go into the details. So every channel will give you an opportunity to do something different. In the case of Walmart Plus, you can very clearly see that in upper funnel, we talk more about the emotional benefit. But as we go down to display, paid social, SEM, we're talking about the functional benefit. Get your groceries delivered. While in upper funnel, we talk about specific examples in which you had something happen and you really needed something delivered and how it made you feel. So every channel is different.
Okay. All right, cool. I would totally agree with that. So heated competition that you guys have, not just the kind of ones that everybody knows about, Amazon and Target, but the newer emerging ones, maybe it's Instacart or whatever, the delivery services that are starting to get involved. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of that'd be great.
I mean, for us, competition is great because it means that we are building the category together. Online grocery, which is it's not the only benefit of Walmart Plus, but it's the main benefit. It's still nascent. Like most people still go to the store and buy online. COVID accelerated the move to online, but still the great majority of groceries are bought in store. So the more competitors, the better for us, because the biggest barrier that we all need to overcome is convincing people that it's okay for somebody else to pick your groceries, to pick your fruit. People think that somehow they were trained as the best apple picker in the world, and who could pick a better apple than I? So, and maybe in the beginning when these services launched, it wasn't so good. So they have a bad experience, they got burned, they were like, I'm not gonna try it again. So competition is allowing us to grow the size of the pie. I think that Walmart has something that nobody else has, which is we have the scale. We are very close to most of Americans, and our everyday low prices are something that very few can compete.
Yeah.
So for somebody that is willing to pay markup and delivery costs, and they don't care about how much they're spending, they want their groceries delivered today, then there's a lot of startups that are out there that are gonna be very good for them. If somebody is watching their budget and they want a consistent experience, and they want to basically make sure that they're paying the lowest possible price, Walmart is the one that they would engage with. So we almost like let our competitors train them on online grocery, and then we tell them, now that you're used to ordering online, do you want to come to the less expensive? Exactly. So we learn from our competitors too, because they're doing things that maybe we haven't come up with before. So we're always watching them. If we think they're doing something that we should be doing, I mean, we copy, and that allows us to really position on what are we unique, what's our unique value proposition, and what can we add to that value proposition that would make us better.
Very cool. And so, and I'm guessing like that part of your business is boomed during the pandemic, right? I mean, I personally do a lot of the drive up and curbside pickup and the delivery. So I kind of use it all, I think. But and I do when I do need a lot of fresh produce, I do go in person still.
Are you the best apple picker in the world?
Yeah, because clearly I'm better than everybody else at that, right? So can you talk about, a lot of, the business that's boomed, what do you think? Do you think that's going to continue to grow at the rate it has? Do you think it's plateaued at all? I mean, what do you think sticking with everything?
I think it's going to continue growing. I don't think it's going to continue growing at the rate that it grew during COVID, but there's still a lot of room for growth. Yeah. There are still a lot of shopping trips that could be more efficient if they were done online. Like, people engage with a lot of retailers to fulfill their needs. They go, I don't know, once a month to a club, to like Sam's or Costco. They go once a week to a large big box retailer like Walmart. And then they do all these filling trips to the local grocers. They go to the pharmacy nearby. So there's still a lot of consolidation that can happen if we are able to provide the convenience that customers want. So for somebody that has Walmart Plus, for example, there is no reason why that person should ever go do a filling trip to the local grocer, because they could get it delivered. So, and for less, right? So I think there's still growth. There's still innovation happening, because it's not perfect. I mean, there's still some friction in the system, right? You have to be home. So we're developing innovation so you don't have to be home. So we can put things in your fridge. You don't have to be there to receive something. So there's a lot of innovation in the space. I think it's going to continue growing.
Very cool. That's great. I think, look, the consumer wins, right? So
yeah,
if you're adding value to the consumer, it's probably going to stick. So great. Now, I think, many retailers out there are in different stages of commerce, right? I think Walmart, you guys were probably already had a platform even before the pandemic hit. And this is happening in the restaurant space too, right? They're all scrambling to kind of build commerce platforms. And, I think in the first step in a lot of that is really organizing your first party data. Can you share a little bit about, and any advice for anyone in that space, that's in the middle of it, trying to build the platforms? Any advice that you have for apps? anything, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest advice that I wish somebody had given us before was make sure that all the data is in one place. If you have an app and you have a store and you have a site and you have 3 sets of data, it's going to be very hard to consolidate them. So if you're just starting, make sure they are in one place and make them self-serve, because people should be able to do their own analysis, and they shouldn't depend on an analyst pulling the data for them. That bottleneck can really slow down innovation if you have a team that is the gatekeeper of the data. Everybody should have access to the data that they need to do their job.
Yeah, no, that's a good, and I think that challenge is for even without commerce. I think a lot of marketers are trying to figure out how to organize. I mean, it's always the first step, right? You have to organize the data before you can actually use it. So any vendors that you work with in the app space or anything that you in your world that that you have appreciated and want to share?
I mean, we're bringing everything in house, or not everything, but a lot of things in house because
Awesome.
of that. Because we want to have the app data and the web data in the same place, and the store data.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, and
This doesn't mean that everybody should bring it in house. I mean, Walmart has the scale to be able to build these tools in house, but I think the smaller companies shouldn't be building this in house.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, David is on. So hi,
I'm
David.
here.
Thank you,
Hi.
Cynthia. This was really great. I really appreciate the time, and sounds like you're doing really cool things over there. So I hope to
Thank you,
connect
Davina.
in person at some point.
This is
Yeah.
really fantastic. I agree. I mean, normally we'd all be at Lambert's in Austin. You know, we'd have